All right, what's up, everybody? This is David Longacre with the Leeds Academy. I got my buddy here, Nate Fischer, with me, and we're going to go over the second fire chat. And today I'm wearing my entrepreneur shirt. It's got my Democrat, Republican over here, but I'm an entrepreneur and I'm feeling entrepreneurial. And I've got want to introduce to what we got coming on next year. We have the most comprehensive lead generation course to date with myself, David Longacre here, and my buddy Nate Fischer. Nate and I have been friends for a long time, been working together, and we decided to put out a super comprehensive lead generation course, and we're going to go over what that includes. And I wanted to introduce Nate Fischer, and let's talk a little bit about who Nate is. Nate, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing over there, David?
Good, man. Good. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I am, again, Nate Fischer. Was a Southern California native and resident for about 25 years. Spent the last 5 or 6 years or so bouncing between the San Francisco Bay Area, Southeast Asia, South America, Europe. Today I'm actually calling you from Kiev, Ukraine. So been a bit of bouncing around. I started my digital marketing career, or really my entrance to the internet, at a pretty young age. 11, 12 years old, I strolled into the world of IRC, ended up getting involved with running IRC channels, distributing new music albums. Got involved in digital marketing when I was about 15, so about half of my life ago, and have essentially been stuck and glued to my computer ever since. Outside of the computer world, I played soccer for a little over 2 decades, played in university in Los Angeles as well as in Orange County there. And other than that, yeah, I just have, I guess, a pretty big software background. Software and search are kind of the two things that I've been involved pretty heavily over the last 15 years in. But yeah.
Cool, man. So now you're just living the entrepreneurial life, traveling around, and deep into the lead generation, living that passive life and that travel life that we all want to live. So, yeah, if you can tell us a little bit about your lead generation background.
Yeah, so I guess my digital marketing background started with mostly affiliate offers. I've done pretty much everything under the sun in the affiliate world, whether it is mobile app installs, popovers, pop unders, local lead generation through businesses, lead generation through affiliate networks, pretty much everything. And I would say the actual lead gen started maybe 7 or 8 years ago now. I was sitting in an office, running a digital marketing department, small team, and had a bit of a budget as well as some extra time, and ended up spending a bunch of time building out local sites, ranking them, purchasing an extreme amount of PBNs. I also, about 5 years ago, we had a tool, Domain Reanimator, which was an expired domain crawler, which kind of came from my experience of crawling the internet through my own code and finding expired domains and ranking local sites. So yeah, 7, 8 years ago, I had all these sites ranking, and I realized that those were valuable assets, and that kind of started the journey of figuring out how to turn ranking sites into money.
Yeah, perfect, man. And I remember the Domain Reanimator days when I used to be the annoying guy asking you questions of how to buy domains and all that stuff when I started my lead generation career too. So that's kind of how me and Nate connected a long time ago, about 5, 6 years ago. So that was, yeah, that's kind of how we went into the lead generation. And if you could tell us a little bit about, more so from like a high level, describe your traditional lead generation process, what you do with your lead generation.
Yeah, so I know from obviously the fact that we talk a lot, it's a little bit similar to yours. So usually most deals will start with an AdWords campaign. I've been in the AdWords platform for since about 2003 or so was my first ad campaign. Know my way around there a little bit. So usually we'll start with an ad campaign to a landing page, start generating leads pretty quickly. There are also certain times when I'll have a national site, or usually now a more local geo site that is ranking and starting to generate calls and form submits. And so usually one of those, if one of those is the first, it's going to be most often AdWords, because we're able to kind of be a little bit more nimble and pop up campaigns there, where an organic site takes time, as you know, especially as we move forward through the Google timeline and things take a little bit longer to rank. So yeah, starting with an AdWords campaign, and then from there, I will go ahead and I will spread out. I know we've talked about this a lot, but cloning the AdWords campaign over to Bing, making sure that we are tapping into that older market, that older demographic, regardless of the smaller amount of traffic. There is solid leads to be had from Bing. More recently, in the last, let's say 2 years or so, we've been doing a lot of GMB stuff, both with clients as well as with less scrupulous Google My Business listings. Definitely have been using lead generation GMBs, do a lot of location extensions. So running an AdWords campaign in an area, making sure that we have that optimized, and as we're optimizing it, add in a GMB, start PPCing from the map pack, PPCing with the location, showing underneath the ad, and then kind of just making sure that at full maturity of a campaign, we will have an AdWords campaign or a couple, depending on the situation. We will have a Bing campaign, we will have GMBs generating leads, and then perhaps most importantly, an SEO site or two gaining organic traffic and kind of letting that simmer over time, mature, get some age in the domain, build some links, and then usually just have them all pumping at the same time.
It's pretty damn similar to my lead generation strategy. Obviously, we've talked about that, and we've kind of confirmed that that's the process moving forward, and that's kind of why we connected and decided to put a lot of this course together and put all of our ideas together. So and I wanted to bring them to the next technology of what my man Nate is. He's quite humble about it, but he's quite the programmer. And I just want to ask you, like, what drove you to create Jensen, and how did you leverage your technical knowledge for the lead generation?
Yeah, so if you're watching this and you're not familiar, Jensen.ai is one of my babies. We have a decent sized engineering team, partner in both Jensen as well as a GMB management platform, Local Viking. And in particular, creating Jensen was kind of born out of our own need, scratching our own itch, if you will, where after getting involved with lead gen and trying to scale and trying to deal with fulfillment and delivery of leads and contacting the clients, keeping in touch with these partners, making sure that they're happy with the lead flow, making sure that they can handle it, having communication in one place, kind of seeing the landscape of the lead generation world as pretty fractured. A lot of guys Frankensteining their own systems together, using Zaps, using non-unified platforms. And that kind of is what created Jensen, is where we needed something to handle all of the different styles of lead gen deals that come across our desk. We wanted to make sure that we had something that could handle a pretty wide array of different strategies, different methods, whether it's pay per lead, whether it's fixed price billing, being able to handle kind of the issues that have arisen that we've seen in our own business is definitely what led us to create Jensen. And in terms of leveraging technical knowledge for lead generation, I I fell in love with Linux at a very young age. Hopped onto Mandrake Linux when I was a little guy, and kind of kept with that for many, many years. Naturally gravitating towards web development, HTML, CSS, and PHP, JavaScript, Ruby, moving on, and kind of liking to work smarter rather than harder. I have definitely put together a bunch of systems and processes that have allowed me to quickly scale ad campaigns, quickly scale lead gen campaigns, run a pretty high number of sites. There was a point in time where I had a couple thousand PBNs in my network, have certainly run through tons of money sites. We will use kind of the automation between Linux and simple Ruby scripts to quickly pop up new ad campaigns, new landing pages. One of the things that we'll do is we'll stick in one niche, let's say, for instance, plumbing, and we'll have a campaign going in Los Angeles, and I'll be able to quickly move that over to a city in Colorado, a city in Florida, wherever we're trying to move, simply through some automation, using subdomains, copying over a lot of the landing pages, quickly flipping out the content, getting the geo-relevant content in there. So it's definitely been something that I've used to my advantage. We also obviously have a GMB management platform that works a lot of magic for posting GMBs, and one of the things that's necessary for keeping your GMB visible and driving leads. So I kind of have combined both my software experience, my software background, and the fact that we have a nice engineering team with our actual businesses, so that we can merge the two and kind of get the most bang for my buck.
Yeah, sweet, man. And I'm sure glad that you guys created that, and I use crap out of it for my systems that I spoke with yesterday. So it really is nice to have a one-stop kind of solution to put all of that stuff together and just be able to see all your leads, get up landing pages quickly, and put up websites, and kind of have all that together in one spot has just made a world of a difference on myself and my team's lead generation model. So yeah, let's get into what I answered yesterday, and I'm curious to hear any lead generation myths that you have come upon in your many years of lead generation.
Oh man, how many? There's a lot of lead generation myths floating out there. Let's see. I would say one of the most uncomfortable parts of lead generation for me, especially hearing it pitched as kind of an autopilot business where once you get up and running, you can step away, is actually the gargantuan amount of effort that is required to keep relationships alive, to deal with clients or partners that aren't answering their phone or that aren't doing whatever they're not doing any day of the week. So a lot of that actually has kind of manifested in the Jensen platform, where one of the most common issues, and I know we've talked about this a lot, is that a lot of contractors and lead partners won't actually look at their leads until you've invoiced them. And then as soon as you invoice them, they want to go through every single minute of every single conversation and try to nickel and dime you down. Even solid lead partners will do that. It's just maybe part of human nature. So we've created a system where you can invoice on one day and choose a delay until the actual charge happens, so that you can give some time between that moment, so that you don't have to deal with refunds and kind of just everything surrounding the amount of work that's involved in the lead generation world, and how it's definitely an entire business all by itself. And it's not something that you just set and forget, I would say, is my number one lead gen myth.
Yeah. And you hit it, man. And that's kind of what it doesn't make it so passive. Obviously you guys put some tools together to kind of like help that transition, but that is that big myth out there. It's just human nature. Same thing happens with us and many other lead generators that I know that kind of go through that process of, you're dealing with people, it flares up, they see the leads, they want to, kind of nitpick here and there. And so that's the same thing, Myth. I completely 100% agree on that one. So yeah, let's get into some advice for our new lead generators. So say someone is just getting into the lead generation, if maybe even if they're just starting out in the marketing, or maybe they're already doing marketing, SEO, or AdWords, what would be your like one piece of advice for someone that just wants to get into the lead generation or is just interested in it?
That's a great question. So my one piece of advice, and this almost is a little bit gimmicky, but it is unfortunately so true, is that it's so much better to just hop in and to get something out than to be trying to perfect it. So having a technical background like I do, I'm very susceptible for sitting for incredibly long periods of time, planning out, perfecting, getting landing pages, reiterating over landing pages, changing the copy, making sure that everything's perfect before a campaign setup, spending a ridiculous amount of time in an AdWords campaign, doing all of the research ahead of time. And now as a more mature marketer, the fastest way that I've seen success in any of my campaigns is completely changing my strategy for being a little bit anal and technical and just trying to get some paint out as quickly as possible, throw shit on the wall. So when I'm running an AdWords campaign, I will literally try to go as fast as possible. I will use the 80-20 principle, where I'm assuming that 80% of my conversions are going to come through, or my conversions are going to come through 80% of my keywords. And I am going to try to pop out, and let's say I'm in, for instance, an artificial turf campaign. I'm not going to spend very much time digging into the keywords. I'm going to try to find like the top 3 or 4 volume keywords, and I'm going to get some simple ad groups made as quick as possible. And I'm going to write some quick ads using a set of rules that I follow for writing my ads. And I'm going to set up my targeting as quick as possible. I'm going to not optimize anything up front. And I am essentially going to try to click go on the campaign as quickly as possible. So using the ability to, and one of the things I'll do, especially if I'm testing a new niche or a new market or a new campaign, I will just go ahead and yank somebody's landing page down. So I won't even wait for a designer, because I'm not a designer. And even though we have designers on staff, designers take a long time to get things done. I'll go ahead, I will yank down HTML. I'll yank down a landing page I like. It'll take me 30 minutes to an hour. I will put in my own logos. I'll put in my own content, and I'll get an AdWords campaign up as quickly as possible. And within an afternoon, I can have a landing page and a new AdWords campaign up. And I can kind of sit back from there and say, okay, I'm going to watch over the next 24 hours. I'm going to look at how my broad match keywords are doing, or broad match modified keywords are doing. I will be pretty judicious about dropping in negative keywords up front in that first window of time. But the most important thing to me is that you just get something out there as quickly as possible. And if you fail, that's great. You fail quick, you fail up front. And you don't spend a week preparing a landing page and an AdWords campaign and then fail after that, and then try to slowly pull yourself back up through optimizations. So definitely just failing quick, or more accurately, getting your campaigns out as quick as possible and not trying to be perfect. In fact, almost focusing on not being perfect and doing the bare minimum amount to get a campaign out today.
Yeah, man, 100% agree on that. And that's same thing that I make the mistake in as a beginner, and a lot of beginners make, is just kind of you overanalyze everything, the kind of the beginner mindset. You kind of want to have everything perfect, but just taking that action and really just putting it forward, getting that AdWords campaign up, get that landing page up quickly. Obviously, what you're doing, sniping the landing page even quicker, which I love, and to be able to put up all that quickly and put it out there. And again, right, like you're just going to do some A/B testing, optimize your campaign, optimize your landing page as you go along. But, just like I've been with this 4 or 5 years now, and, just be ready we still have failures. I have failures with my sales guys. I have failures with my landing pages, failures with everything. So Same type of advice from me too, is just kind of put it forward. And if you lose money, you lose money, but you'll gain it back. So that's why I really wanted to put this course together. And that's kind of why we put the Leeds Academy Inception. And Nate, you mind telling them a little bit more about how it started?
Yeah. So obviously, being two guys, not that David is from Southern California, but he is living in one of my old hometowns right now, Huntington Beach. We've been super good buddies over the last 5 or 6 years. I am obviously much more inclined to be on the technical side. If I had it my way, I would never talk to a client. I would never interface with anybody other than my team that I work on software with and some of my business partners. And outside of that, I would be face down in either code, server stuff, anything related to software, anything related to the technical world, landing pages, all of that. And I fell into a really lucky position where, working with Mark, he has been able to fill the pipeline of deals, and there's an endless amount of them, which is not a very common thing. And so I've gotten to completely avoid most of the lead generation as it relates to getting new partners or even really dealing with clients. And so talking with you, David, and seeing that not only are you great at the technical side, but you are leaps and bounds ahead of me in terms of your sales experience and your focus on sales and your ability to really handle the sales aspect of this. And then we kind of realized that when we can combine all of the content that I can put down from my experience of 15 plus years working in the technical side of search and paid traffic and working with landing pages and optimization and all the things that I've done, mixed with all of the things that you've done and have been doing to grow your pay-per-lead agency as big as you have, especially as I saw you start to put in your sales processes and your sales team. We just kind of came to the conclusion that the current state of the lead generation info market was not quite as thorough as it could be. Definitely a reoccurring theme of people creating info courses that maybe haven't quite walked the walk all the way before they go and bust out their videos. So I think really the combined breadth of knowledge that both you and I bring was when we kind of had that eureka moment where we're like, hey, let's release a course in December of last year.
Yeah. 100%, man.
Yeah. So I guess now I'll ask you a few questions in light of that. And I think we've talked a bit about the technical side, and that is obviously super important, the technical side, to be able to fulfill leads. To be completely honest, as far as I'm concerned, it's easier on the technical side. Once you go through a very simple AdWords training, AdWords is built for you to be able to spend money on it. Landing pages aren't that hard. You can literally just Google all of your keywords and go and look at every single competitor and use SpyFu to see who's been paying for what ads for how long, so you know what landing pages are actually working, and you can just take them, or you can have a designer copy them. What really motivates me in working with you and doing business with you and doing this with you is kind of everything about your sales process and your lead gen sales. And I just want to know if you can maybe walk us through what your traditional sales process looks like and how you kind of go from a new partner lead to a closed deal. And I don't know if you sign contracts or how you deal with what is the closing of the deal, but kind of walk us through what that process and story looks like.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And thank you for that. I have definitely failed along so many routes to kind of get to my own sales process. And the sales process I'll walk you through right now is maybe different from other people, but I just have figured out an entire sales model that works really well for me. We're able to close clients very quickly, onboard quite a bit of them in a short amount of time, and just keep that cycle coming on and feeding them leads quickly. So from our kind of initial contact is pretty much We get a list builder, and we're kind of stuck in a couple of different niches, but we're just starting out a new one within the last probably 2-3 weeks. So I can kind of walk you through this process. It's even more identifiable too if you're just starting out, where we will go ahead and kind of identify that niche. We'll go through the entire process. And really my sales portion of it, we just look at other people's landing pages. We get an idea of what people are doing out there, where the competition is, because I like to identify the market and how we can really capitalize on that, because that information is going to be so valuable to me if I'm on a sales call, or if I can give that to my sales guys and they're on the sales call there. So identifying what the market is, how big the market is, understanding the comprehensive of learning a niche is super key, right? So niching down is that whole process. So if I'm niching down, I focus on this. We obviously have to build the landing page, do all that process, but really understanding the entire sales process of a new client. And if you're just starting out, you can go ahead and get an AdWords client, ask them a ton of questions, and then go get a lead generation client at another point. But once you get that lead generation partner on board and you're ready to get them started, or if you're trying to transition from the AdWords and try to get them, you just got to go build a list. So let's pick Los Angeles and let's pick pest control, right? And say I wanted to get into pest control niche and I wanted to go ahead and do a scrape. So I'll go ahead and use my scraper to go ahead and build the list there. I will go ahead and have my list builder identify it, grab the email, grab the phone, and then we've got our full list building, right? And then I'll grab it over to a CRM system. We'll upload it. My one that I use is Pipedrive, so we'll put that up there, and we'll upload that list, and then it's just ready to have this entire sheet. And once you have all of this visual data in front of you, it makes you feel like Superman all of a sudden. You have like, okay, I've got one of these guys right here. This guy says no to me, no big deal, because I got 60 other of his competitors. So that kind of confidence in your mind, and just when I was starting, was the exact same thing. And that was kind of like, you have to gain that confidence in the visual format. So something in front of you. And then you're just going to go and walk through that whole process of just grabbing their landing page, put it up there. You got all their information in front of you, right? In front of your screens, you got 4 tabs open. You got their website, you got the guy's name, you any information about so that whole entire process, and you're ready just to go ahead and call that phone and dial it up, and you walk through that process. Hey man, did it? And so the lead generation process is it's a lot easier. And I've come from the SEO background, the AdWords background, where you're kind of doing the whole sales approach, right? You don't want to sound like a sales guy, but then you really want to get them on the phone and not hang up within 30 seconds before, because they're so used to getting these calls, right? But if you come in and you're coming in as an approach, hey man, you just come in real friendly. Hey, I noticed that you're with Home Advisor. Hey, I know you're doing AdWords, but I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I just want to see how happy you are with Home Advisor, or I just want to talk to you, and if you have a couple minutes, and I could tell you our process for how we can start sending some phone calls your way. So it's actually a very, very easy approach. And the people that, a lot of the times we'll just say, hey man, you got 5 minutes to spare. And so with that really, really friendly approach, when you come across and, hey man, you got 5 minutes to spare. If I'm talking to a gatekeeper, I'm just saying, hey, this is David with Pest Control Marketing Agency. Can I speak with so-and-so if I want to get over to the owner? So it's all just friendly. And I know that I'm not selling an AdWords campaign or a monthly this. If I come in and I'm just saying, hey man, I've got a lead service. I know you're working with Home Advisor. Mine's something that's very similar in this sense. And seeing if you got 5 minutes to talk about it and say, yeah, that sounds all right, man. Yeah, can you call me back at this time? No, sure, no problem. I know you're busy. Let's walk through this process at a later time. What's the date and time that works for you? If you're talking to a gatekeeper, it's pretty much, yeah, I've got this the system here. We're with Pest Control. We like to give a name that's similar to, an actual business. So therefore, she's just going to give us the name of the owner and push us right over to the owner right there. So that's an easy step there for getting past that gatekeeper, is just making your name a niche, a niche of what that is. And you got the owner's name pretty quickly in that sense. And then if you get, you get a not interested, you get a hung up on, don't take it as anything against you. We put them in our CRM system, maybe not interested. It was like, oh, I'm not interested, or you just hang up. we put it in our CRM system. We'll call them back 3 weeks later, man. They completely forget about that process. So you literally just put them in a CRM and you're going to say, okay, he hung up on me. And then you'll call him again and you might feel a little bit more chipper. And so it's like, it's one of those things with sales, man. You got to brush off your shoulders. It's nothing against you. And especially if you're coming in as this friendly, a little bit more confident. And especially when you know you're kind of not selling them on a monthly, revenue process. Our sales process, once we get that guy on board and we get him on our process, we say, hey man, we're going to go ahead and sell you 10 leads. We're going to do it on a trial basis. Obviously it's not free, but we'll do it on a trial basis. We'll go ahead and get you these 10 leads, get you started. We'll get those 10 leads within 72 hours. And then it takes about anywhere from 4 to 5 days to get you those leads. We'll walk you through that process through there. So we're just kind of like hand holding them through the entire process. We have our websites and our landing pages in case they want to go over there. We shoot them some information. We also have testimonials that we can shoot them as well. If you don't have testimonials, no big deal. We didn't have them for a long time, but you get them through that process. And then we go ahead and just send over that agreement. I don't really do any contracts or anything. It's just a simple agreement. And I've actually never had anybody, break this contract. We just tell them straight up, we're going to send you those leads. If you're not happy with the service and coming in with your confidence and knowing that we're paid per performance, you're pretty much paying us to perform. It gives us a win-win, and that's why we have a very high close ratio, because we're not really holding them to anything there. So that confidence in knowing that, hey, we can provide what we're saying that we can do, and we're not really holding you to anything. So we'll go ahead and give you those leads. We'll distribute those quickly. Here's an agreement. If this doesn't work out, just send us an email and let us know that it doesn't work out. No big deal. We'll go find one of your competitors. So, and I've got 60 other guys in front of me. So that kind of scarcity a little bit, putting that out there, it really creates that need that they know that it's a win-win partnership. And that's what we come in as. We're the lead partner in, we want to be your lead partner program here. We're going to provide the leads, but we need you to go ahead and answer the phone and do this whole process on your side to really have it be, you need to be profitable. The only way we make money is if you make money. And so that's super, super key, man.
Beautiful, man. And I've seen a bit of the inside of your operation, and I can honestly say that I'm super excited to have other people see that and kind of take a look at what an actual lead generation sales process looks like. And not only a lead generation sales process, but most importantly, a scalable and repeatable process, which is putting a huge piece of the puzzle that I think the lead gen industry has been missing, where I see a lot of guys who generating couple $1,000s a month in leads, nothing to be embarrassed about, fantastic numbers for starting out. But once you really need to scale and start hitting that $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month, that's where you really need to have the SOPs and the processes that you have. So super excited to see that come to fruition and kind of let everybody get a view on the inside of what you have going on. Now, I know another thing that we have spent a really long amount of time talking about is the importance of qualification and qualifying your leads. And I know that we come at it at two completely different angles, where I will find these issues with humans and partners, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go to the drawing board and I'm going to figure out how we can solve this with technology. So if I have a partner that isn't answering his phone when I think he should be, I will go and code up some functionality into Jensen so that we can immediately text them. We can immediately email them when they missed a call. We can start programmatically harassing them to do what I want them to do. And that's just one of many examples where I'll hit a speed bump and I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to solve that without technology. So let me think about how I can put some pen on some paper and draw out some code that will help solve this problem. And a lot of times that is not the best way to solve any of these problems, probably even perhaps most of the time. So in light of that, I'd like you to talk to us about the common problems that you found that kind of drove you to step up your qualification process as it relates to onboarding new partners, finding new partners, and essentially working with new partners.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the qualification and I didn't know this kind of getting started, and I kind of identified a real problem with the lead generation business in general is there are a lot of business owners that just have no idea what they're doing. And I'm sure I've talked to a lot of lead generators out there that they're curious about how my model is working so well. And I figured out that it has most to everything to do with the qualification process. You have to know your niche. You have to have this customer profile. I go deep into the customer profile because it's really so identifiable when you can know that the reason why I know the partners that didn't work out had everything to do with me and my business and my knowledge about that niche. So I didn't have my customer profile. And if you come from like the Facebook ads background, you'll know that you have to have a persona or a customer profile for everybody that you're targeting. And it's the exact same thing with me. We're targeting just in a, through email, cold email and cold calls. Well, this target profile definitely needs to be there. So the qualifying is such a key process because as you're contacting your prospects, you'll come across people that have their sales together, and you'll come across all kinds of different avenues. So if you're contacting 60 pest control guys in Los Angeles, you'll got guys that one, don't pick up their phone, one that may pick up their phone, but it's just them and they're a one-man team. You got a little bit bigger guys that maybe got 3 guys and they're still picking up their phone and they don't have a gatekeeper. And then you got the bigger guys that are on a scaled system that they already have their stuff together, but then maybe they already have a marketing team. And then you got another guy that has not a marketing team, but they're just maybe solely relying on Home Advisor or a different lead generator. So that is really where you create this customer profile. And we have guys that are big and small. And so we have to go out on this qualifying process by asking some of the most common questions. Just, hey, can you tell me a little bit about how long you've been in business? Can you tell me? And this is kind of us. Once we get them through this sales process and we get them on board, we told them a little bit about us, and we just say, hey, we just want to see if this is a win-win partnership because it has to work on both parties, and we want to make sure that you're set up and ready for our system, right? And so that's where that confidence comes in of saying that we know our system works because we already do. And even when we didn't and we're not in that niche, we just say we know our system works anyway, right? So we just say, hey, man, this is how it works here. And we just want to make sure that you're fit for our system. So do you mind if we just go over a couple questions about your business? And it very important about how you put this out there and still coming along this friendly, but you're really just interviewing them. Like the qualifying questions for us is just pretty simple. Like how long you've been in business. If you're a pest control guy, like how many technicians do you have on board, or how many exterminators do you have on board here? What's your sales process? How many leads are you used to getting? And so you'll find these identifiable questions and you can kind of cross them off as, oh, well, I'm not sure how many leads I get a week, or I'm not exactly sure my process on how many leads I close a week. And you can really identify that. And it was before, when I was just starting out, I was hungry. And then when I had my sales guys start out, they were hungry to onboard these non-qualified prospects. And that's really where you're gonna hit yourself. You're just wasting a lot of time and you're wasting your money on both parties, where you're onboarding them, you're thinking it's gonna go out and it's not. So what we have really identified, there's probably maybe out of 60, maybe 4 to 5 actual qualified, legit partners in one area that you can have. So having this, like, we do provide exclusive leads. We don't do this multi-lead partnership like, I've heard around. We really just do the qualified process, and that's what we sell, right? So we're selling qualified, and we expect them to act like a legit business, that we're sending them because it's, even though we are kind of the middleman, we're just sending it all to them, but they need to have their stuff together. They need to be ready to take 10 to 20 calls on a week. They need to have their system in play to have that. And so that's really, really important for us to identify that, and then also identify their needs on their part, right? So we know how we can work our system and how it's going to, blow up their business quickly, but then we need to know if their sales process is in play, and then what kind of their needs are right now. How many leads are you looking to get this week? How many leads are you looking to get this month? And then let's see 90 days, let's see 60 days and 6 months down the line, right? And then we identify if the really important part is like, how many leads are you getting? What are your lead sources? So we come guys across that are getting leads from Yelp, from Yellow Pages, from Home Advisor, and then we come on as an addition, which I don't want to be just the addition. I want to become the lead sole partner, which is kind of so part scary, somewhat in their eyes a bit, but really I've put together such a great solution to where it's so easy, especially using Jensen and having it all easy, and they could see all the phone calls and all that kind of stuff. Your part and your solution is the key to the blowing up their business, right? And so that's where that confidence comes in play. So we already know our system. That's why we just have to qualify and kind of flip it on them, make sure that they're ready to handle our business. And you'll come across so many guys out there that just don't have their shit together. Pretty simple, right? So it's like they don't have their sales processes in place. So I can only do so much, and we can only present it so much. So that's why we put out that trial offer. Well, we got the campaign already ready. We're already ready to identify in this city. And if it doesn't work out with this guy, we already have this ready to stir in the pot, and we'll go to a next competitor. And I know in the back of my mind, there's probably 5 to 6 guys that will profit with our system really well. And I can tell you, I could pretty quickly, now that we've onboarded so many guys, I could tell you within the first day of talking to them and kind of transitioning, and now it's my sales guys that kind of onboard them and do that process, I can pretty much tell you the guys are not going to work out very, very quickly. So our qualification process is so damn key to onboarding them, because I can know, a week down the line, a month down the line, they're going to fall off, and it's just a waste of our time. So we got the partners on board now, and we onboard those guys quickly. And when we know that they have their shit together and we have our shit together, and we can just combine our powers together, that's where this beautiful partnership works out. And that's how we present it to them, and that's how they love it. And then also their success and what we grow with them is they grow with us. So if I know that they're going to start off with 10 to 15 leads, but they're going to grow up to, 50 leads in a week, that's where we profit heavy, right? So like lead generation is a beautiful model because of that. Is if they're starting off with 10 leads, you may be breaking even for the first week, first 2 weeks, first month, right? But once you get that process in and you know that they're qualified and you know that they can handle, you've had this conversation, you say, okay, man, I'm going to feed you 50 leads by, month 2 a week. And are you ready to take this on? Yeah, man, I got this. And they're already so used to the system within the first month that they're ready to take that stuff on. And therefore, that puts my confidence in knowing that we could put in the SEO, we could put in all this portion here, and then we'll just keep reinvesting. And that's where the lead generation magic really comes into play. So,
yeah, man, that's a perfect answer. And honestly, this portion of the course is probably, in my opinion, the most important in terms of you are going to be able to save yourself not only from losing money by working with unqualified partners, you're going to be saving yourself so much time and also the heartache of getting your first partner. I know there's a lot of training that's just like, hey, generate leads. Hey, call companies and say that I have extra leads. And can you handle the overflow? Oh, yes, you can. Great. Okay, we're going to send you leads right now, and we're going to put a whisper on the call.
Right.
And I'm so happy. And then all of a sudden you're really sad and depressed because you just blew your budget on AdWords and they didn't pick up a single call, or they did pick up every call, but they scared off all of the potential leads and have zero sales skills. Whatever it is, like this portion of your training and of the course in general is just so unimaginably valuable for people that are actually going to be building real lead generation businesses. So yeah, man, thanks for throwing that all out there. Hopefully you at least held in a couple of tips and tricks for the
Oh
course.
yeah, man. I've got it. I've got some good stuff in there, and I'm definitely excited to have what's coming next, and we got some golden tips in there. So
Awesome. So yeah, so in terms of what's coming next, this is about the 1 week notice, perhaps even 6 days. So mid next week, we are going to be doing one last video. It's going to be more of a presentation. We've kind of thrown out 2 interviews this week, and next week, midweek, is going to be much more of a presentation, kind of give you the outline of not only our own personal lead gen businesses and processes, but of what the Leads Academy course is going to be. So be on the lookout for that. We will certainly be spamming the Local Client Takeover Facebook group, as well as probably any other Facebook groups that we can drop these posts into. If you haven't opted in yet to our email list, go to www.theleadsacademy.com and give us your email. We will not spam you or sell it. We will simply shoot you a couple of emails once the course is opening. Again, we've put a lot of hours into this. We have put a lot of content into this. There is a ton of real world experience, a lot of battle scars that we've had to go through and receive that we've then been able to condense and distill into some videos so that you don't have to go through and receive those same scars. You can hopefully jump some of the issues that you might otherwise run into. So again, just wanted to thank everybody for watching this. David, thank you for hosting this.
yeah, thanks, Nate.
No problem. But yeah, so I guess everybody check in Wednesday or so of next week, and we will be dropping the last video and opening up the course.
Perfect. Thanks, man.